Thank you for joining us and welcome back to part 2 of episode 28, Finding Peace in the Chaos. We'll be answering questions and exploring that love, peace and joy is always available. Thank you for being here. We have got some requests. If anyone wants to request and come up and speak, you are more than welcome. We've got Whiplash here, so I just wanted to say hi to you as well. I know you've been waiting for a long time. Hi, Whiplash.
Hi, Molly. Hi, Gem. I'm sorry, I don't know if there's someone else that wanted to speak before me, but just wanted to say hi and I share something that I've been through in my life. And first of all, I just want to say thank you for holding this space, because this is a space that can really help people out, mentally and spiritually. As I was, I'm 40 years old now, and most of my life I've lived not knowing what a narcissist is. And I'm sure a lot of people maybe have met someone that's a narcissist, but I don't know if how to tackle a narcissist who's actually your father. And I've lived most of my life, wondering if I'm really up to the person as I have to be or I should be, and if I'm enough or not. And just until a couple of years ago, I started reading about narcissism, and it fit the bill 100%, and it had me thinking in a scientific way. I know life is so connected with each other, and everything's connected. It's like the universe, and everything's connected with one another. And I thought, what if narcissism, I don't know if it's a genetic thing. I don't know if it's something that is it something that's there, or it grew up in, or something, he grew up with this kind of trait or something. But I think of life as a scientific experiment, and you in a scientific experiment you have variables, some variables that are fixed and some are constant, and then you have another variable that can change, in a science experiment. So I thought, what if my father is the fixed constant and I'm the variable, and I have to be the one who has to change the way I'm thinking, and maybe accept as a person him as a person, or who he is, and maybe change the way I'm thinking. So I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's something that, maybe, because I believe in karma, and I never like to ever be someone that hurt someone or something. I don't know if I'm hurting him or not, but I'm always having this, it's dealing with a narcissist is so difficult, and I'm really not knowing how to progress with him, as a person. And he's me and my other siblings are feeling we're really set back because of that. But in the end, I don't know, as I'm reading through about narcissism, I mean, it really shed light to how destructive they can be. But I mean, I don't know if the thought of the scientific experiment thing is really something that maybe does help or not. So that's my only thing I'd like to share. And I don't know if you guys can give some info about that. And maybe other people have also met a narcissist in their life, either be a parent or a sibling or a loved one. So thank you again for holding the space, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you coming up and speaking. I personally don't have much dealings in my life with narcissism, but I am aware of it. I have dealt with it with clients and kind of help them navigate their life with a narcissist in it. It can be incredibly difficult. I do understand that. What I want you to rely on is that your wisdom has given you some answers already, because it feels like you've got some insight, but you're doubting it. And I don't want you to doubt your own insight. So this scientific experiment thing that you see, if you see that as like you're the one, he's fixed and you've got to change, that's a really interesting way to look at it. And in a way, it would kind of be aligned with what I'm teaching here, which is you can't change anyone else. You can't do anything about him. He is who he is. But what you can do is you can allow him to be who he is, because he can't be any different. But you can see it as impersonal. And I know that can be hard with a parent. But if you can see that it wasn't that he's doing it to you or he's doing it to your siblings, that's his nature. For whatever reason, nature or nurture, we don't know which is which. There's many studies out there that will say it's one or the other, that's created him to be this way. But whatever it is, that's how he is. But it doesn't mean you are any less than. It doesn't mean that you should feel bad about yourself or not be comfortable in your own skin, because you have nothing to live up to in relation to him. He's a separate person. He has his own identity. He has his own character. So if you can see it as impersonal, that could probably be quite helpful for you, because then whatever he says and does isn't about you. It's about him. So if it's not about you and it's only about him, you can then thrive, because you have your own wisdom, you have your own understanding, you have your own character, and that's what you should fall back on, and that's what you should look towards. So it might be worth you exploring these principles a little more deeply to get a deeper understanding of you, not to fix him, but to understand yourself and your nature and your thought system, so you can navigate him with more ease. I'm sure Jem's got something to say as well, though, because I know that we've
Thank
had.
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We'll come back to you in a moment. Jem, have you got anything?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is a huge, huge subject, and I've worked with people that have sort of recovered from being in relationships with narcissistic people. I've also met people, and first of all, generally people that, especially if you've got a parent that's narcissistic, you're going to be very empathetic. You've always had to sort of make that other person happy. So this is going to be a journey, but it's going to be a beautiful one where when you realize that you don't need to give anything to anybody, although you've been taught that your whole life, you're now at the point where you're really going to find yourself. And it sounds like I'm not explaining it very well, like it's going to be hard, but it's not. And you are here, and you're supposed to be here, and it's going to be amazing. I feel a bit emotional just hearing you speak at the beginning, but I'll message you, and I'm happy to talk to you through things. I've got lots of videos and things that I'll be able to send, but I wanted Molls to speak first because, I spent years and years digging into the personality disorder, trying to work out, how do I deal with people, trying to really understand it. And it didn't really help me. And I actually realized I don't really want to understand it. I know the behavior, and I know that it's toxic for me to be around people like that. Even if they are in your family, you'll just learn to sort of protect yourself and have these, not barriers, but it's kind of, there's nothing that they can say or do that can affect you. And that will happen with everybody. But when it happens with them, you'll feel so free. I could talk about this forever, but I'm really glad that you came up. And if it's okay, I'll message you. And yeah, maybe we'll do a space on sort of narcissists, empaths, and things like that in the future, because it is a huge topic. I mean, there's stats out there, whether it's sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, a lot of big bosses, CEOs, world leaders. These are the people that run everything. And these are the people that, if they're in your family, if they're close to you, I think 1 in 100 people suffer from personality traits like this. So some people never will come into contact with narcissists because a narcissist would know that they can't sort of get any supply from them. But people that are giving, people that are kind, people that want to show love to the world, they have a big beacon on their head saying, please come and take my love, my energy, I've got loads to give it away. So there's loads to learn, but now I'm in this place where I am with the 3 principles. I probably wouldn't bother looking too much into the actual disorder and things, because it's not going to help you. But yeah, thank you for coming up. Thank you so much.
I feel like there's different levels of narcissism, the ones that I've experienced. But I mean, if I was to be able to give some sort of advice, I would say focus on you and your feelings and who you are, and build who you are, because their characteristics are really difficult to change. If you are thinking that you can change them, that's where the challenge is going to be for you, and that's where all the frustration is going to come from you. For you is trying to change them. I would personally just focus on what you want, and understand that that's how they are. And if there's some parts that you think you can relate to, great. But, as Molls and Gems are saying, when they are a family member that's like your father, your mom, or your brother, it gets a little tougher, and that dynamic relationship is very different than, let's say, your boss or a friend, because there is that innate love or want to care for your loved ones in terms of your family. But don't forget, this should be about you.
I don't think Whiplash is actually up as a speaker now, so I'm not sure if he heard any of what we've just said, but it's very, it's a huge topic. And I found a lot of people that had interacted with or had been around people, like abusive relationships with narcissists, they would constantly attract other narcissists because they already had their sort of gates open. They're used to being treated like shit. It's kind of, it can be a really, really bad pattern if you don't notice it, because you just think, well, what's wrong with me? But it's a huge topic.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hiya.
Who have we got now? Is that we've got...
I actually wanted to touch bases on this topic since it got brought up, because I actually was dealing with it with a loved one last year about it, because I was highly confused. And what really helped me out was getting on YouTube and actually uh, gathering other people's perspective on narcissism. And, I had to understand what was really going on, because, they weren't doing it on purpose, right? It kind of happens. And I had to understand, what gaslighting was, and what stonewalling was, and what these terms and, what they actually mean, and how they kind of ripple through, our energy and stuff. And, it just really helped me find, conclusions, and actually have ammo, like have the energy and the know, uh, when I'm in those situations, like, okay, hey, you're gaslighting me, cut it out. Hey, you're stonewalling me, cut it out, and not really kind of get twisted in the situation, because, it could be tough dealing with loved ones in general. And also too, I kind of want to shed this book I found also. It's called The Way of the Superior Man, and it covers a lot of topics of life. And one of the topics that really stood out for me, besides everything else, was there's a chapter called "Every Man Should See Their Father Dead," because we're so chained to our parents, to our fathers, and we have these stigmas that will never be good enough, and so it kind of hinders our ability to succeed in life, because we think that, our father's going to judge us, or we're not doing the right thing, or we just always second guess ourselves. So it's definitely helped me understand this psychology, between people and what's really going on upstairs. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of helped me, shield myself essentially, and not do further damage, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you for speaking. Yeah, that's really interesting. And if anyone is interested in that book, I go and get it. And I kind of get that psychology, that side of it, where you go into that. I mean, this isn't what the principles is about, but it can be really interesting, and it is really helpful to understand, obviously, what gaslighting is, stonewalling, narcissism. You want to be clear on what's happening, but there's a point where you have to let that go and just decide what you want from the relationship, if you're going to continue with the relationship, and just see that their behavior isn't actually personal, that they can only operate in that way because that's all they know. And then and then in whatever way you need to protect yourself, you protect yourself. It can be for some people that they can continue in relationships with narcissists. I mean, many do. Could it be in a love relationship or in a family relationship? They just find their way to navigate through it, and they see it as impersonal. But for some people, it will be that they have to remove themselves. So again, there are not set rules. There are just trust your own wisdom. Again, look in the direction that you're led to look in and see what's helpful for you, because what we're teaching isn't prescriptive, it's descriptive. We're not ever going to prescribe how you should do something. We are describing a system, and we're describing the system, the human operating system. And when we see that, we can navigate life more easily. But yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you coming up and speaking. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it really is a really big topic, and it's
Huge.
It's. I mean, for me, it was my brother, and to start off, I just started to figure out what these definitions meant and what these actions meant first to me, and that was really my way of solving it for myself, is just try to understand all of his actions. And then I started just thinking about myself and how I didn't want to be hurt anymore. And it helped me in that sense.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, again, you followed your wisdom. You saw what was helpful for you. You do have to actually know what a narcissist is when you're dealing with them. It's very helpful to have the guidelines and the definitions. But from then, again, what's your wisdom saying? What direction do you want to go in? What's helpful for protecting you? And I think that's always the direction that we need to bring it back to us. What direction do we want our lives to go in? How do we want our lives to look? I think that's really, really important, that we don't just hand it over to other people to direct it and to, and to control it. Narcissists will always want to control your life. It's about, no, that isn't what we're here to do. It goes back to what I spoke about earlier about our innate well-being and our freedom and following our instincts and our wisdom. When we're doing that, we'll be able to spot those things, and we'll be able to navigate them, and we'll be able to live our lives according to how we want to live them. And as I said, for some people, it will be allowing that person to stay in their lives, and for other people, it will be to cut someone out of their life. There's no right or wrong. There's just how you will deal with it. Okay, this is, again, we don't ever want to get into the realm of right or wrong. There's, do what's best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit conscious. It's been an hour and a half already. Can you believe it? we were going to do a 1 hour call to bring people up to ask questions, but we've got AI and then we've got Estival. But if anyone else wants to request now, I think we'll probably start winding down in a minute. But yeah, AI, if you want to speak, you're more than welcome.
Hi,
Sure.
AI.
Hello, everyone. This is just amazing. Hey, Mom, Jim, everybody. This is just amazing that you guys are even having this discussion, and just to hear the men especially speak about this stuff is huge because obviously our society teaches us to lock everything in. And for me, just hearing him speak about that, I lost my dad at the start of COVID, and my mom is the narcissist one that I had to deal with, and I've been in deep therapy for 2 years trying to overcome this stuff. Just never really there, just really cold, not nothing. So I just found myself always trying to overachieve. Like nothing was ever good enough for me. Like I had to do this, I had to always be doing something. And I'm like, I started diving in therapy. Like, why am I like that? You know, why can't I ever find happiness in what I achieve and what I do? Or why do I have to be so driven all the time? Like I can't just sit down and relax and just cool out. And it all came back to my mother. It's constantly wanting her approval, constantly begging for her approval, constantly begging for her love and her, for her to acknowledge me, to acknowledge what I'm doing is good enough. Just for like an example, I won an award last year, and it's in the newspaper. It's a whole thing about service and giving back, and she sees it and she calls me and she goes, "Wow, you got all of that from your mother. Isn't that great?" So like she like stole my moment. Instead of being like, "That's great, son. I'm so proud of you." She's like, "Oh, you got it from me." That's where. And for me, like my mom's also a pastor, so of a church. So you throw in God to the mix where it's like God wants you to do this, God wants you to do that. Like I was super confused. And for me, I had to just cut her off, even though it was hard, because every time I would open up to her, she would just stab me, basically. And, with my kids, I have two lovely boys. She does it to them now. And that's just like my line. And for me, it's like I will always be there for my kids, but I won't allow her to do the same thing to my kids that she did to me. And it's going to be a lifelong lesson to learn and to overcome these things because it's been from childhood and dealing with it. But for me, it's been just stay away, step back, take a moment and work on myself. And then down the road, if I'm up to it, or if I feel like it's something I want to do, then I'll approach her. But I'm not going to force it because she just throws everything back on me, and I always come out of the conversation feeling like I'm the bad one, I'm the one that did something wrong, or I'm the guilty one. Um, so for me, that's just been huge. So just to hear you guys speaking about it and to hear the men, I just want to say thank you for sharing. It's just amazing, and I love you guys.
Oh, that was amazing. Like, thank you for sharing that. And, and that just goes to what we said about you do what's right for you. You made your choice and that's how you want to live for now. But what I really loved about what you said was your openness and willingness that you might see it differently at some point and that would be okay too. So again, that's the wisdom that we're talking about. That's you following that what you see from within yourself rather than what anyone else is telling you. So I think the fact that you've explored it for yourself, that you've been in therapy, that you're seeing it differently and you're protecting your sons is absolutely amazing. And to come out again like the rest of the guys in a public forum and talk about it is incredibly powerful. It's powerful for other people to hear because we connect through these shared stories. This is where we remember that we're this one being, that we're not this separation. Because, and that's where all the juice and all the love that we're looking for is. All of that, all of these things that you wanted from your mother, you already have within you. And waking up to that and seeing that for yourself is so empowering, and it's going to give you everything that you need in your life because you'll see it's all you are that love that you were looking for. And and the fact that you're aware of that and you can see that within your sons is like, what a great dad you're going to be, or what a great dad you are, because you've seen something more deeply about the human experience. And for all her faults, she's given you that. She's given you a deeper awareness. She's shown you something deeper about the human experience, and she's made you an amazing father. So, you have obviously many gifts. You said your award was about being in service. So you're clearly like, whatever it is you've gone in the opposite direction. As Jem said, many people with narcissistic parents become empaths. They become very kind and very loving. So, it's just knowing who you are, knowing that everything that you're looking for outside in the world already exists within you is just amazing. This is the gift that we're all looking for. It's to wake up to who we are, and we wake up to who we are, unfortunately, through many of the painful experiences that we have in life. So that's what we're talking about, the light in the chaos. You've explained that so perfectly, because you are the light in that chaos. You've realized your own light and you're sharing that. And I just thank you so much. That was amazing.
That was a good moment of silence, actually. I just wanted to hold that for another second. But yeah, AI, that was great. Really, hats off to you. Yeah, I can bet all the Bitcoin that you're a fantastic father. Everything leads you up to sort of where you are today. Yeah, thank you for coming and sharing that. And I think, Molls, we're going to have to do a series on yeah. We've spoken about it before, and we've kind of said, well, it can be quite triggering for people, especially if they're sort of dealing with situations. We've kind of steered away from certain subjects, but maybe I think tonight's a bit of a sign that we do something like this.
I agree. I thought that too.
Yeah, well, it's obviously needed, isn't it? And it's nice that people are are opening up. Thank you, AI. We've got now Estival. Welcome, Estival. Estival's been a friend of the show for a long time.
It's day one, I think. Hi, Estival.
Yeah.
Hello. Good evening, Gem, Molly. I hope you can hear me, because you're cutting out every couple of seconds, and I sort of have to figure out during 1 second of silence what you're saying. So I already restarted my phone and blah, blah, blah. But it's Twitter. So, it is infuriating, but I'm not going to be infuriated because I can't do anything about it. I hope you can hear me. It's just
well.
Good. What I find, you always are the three principles, and then I'm like, yeah, what are they again? And I just dug up this piece of paper in which I wrote a bunch of things from the three principles when I started, searching on online about it. And I always just want to condense it down to something palpable and easily digestible. And I always come back to listening to you, even though I'm still sort of struggling. Like, is thought the first thing, and emotion derived from thought, or as well as you have emotions which can lead to thoughts. But next to you, I also the other time I was listening to this great interview with Joe Dispenza, and I often listen to Alan Watts because he's also always. So it's just me being on my own spiritual, mental, emotional journey. And, it's just whatever resonates. Sometimes you bring up a quote by Eckhart Tolle, and then I'm like, look him up, and it's like, nah, he's not my cup of tea. And then, but you always come back to the people you do like. I really don't want to get into narcissism because I've got plenty to say about that. But it's also, I give it on a spot, and good for the person speaking before me that he's also found a way to work with it. But anyway, because sorry for being such a chaotic, being on such a, I'm sort of rambling almost. That because it's funny because you always in the three principles, and like, because if I go over my notes here, it's like, I've got lines and arrows drawn, and this connects to that, and da da da. And I know because, like, if you listen to Alan Watts, and what I especially like about him when he talks about Buddhism and Hinduism and Taoism, that it's all about now, about being in the present, about being in the moment. And then Joe Dispenza mentioned metacognition, so your thoughts, and then being aware of your thoughts. So like you're zooming out and then you know, like as if you are, well, sort of as a metaphor, as if you have an outer body experience and you just look at yourself, even though of course that's impossible, because you know there is no difference between you and the rest, and everything is actually one if you get awakened and all that stuff. Anyway, god damn it, what's my point? Anyway, your 3 principles, because sometimes I'm like, yeah, could you just sort of like quickly get on what particular, because you know you should be able to distill it down to just 3 bullet points. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are making sense, but why? What do you need 3 bullet points for?
I don't. Well, need. Well, you know, it's just. Oh yeah. Maybe it's because I was like, oh yeah, your space is about. God, what did you say? Yeah, your space is about the meaning of the mind. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's about consciousness and all that, and that's a very interesting subject, and it's got many facets to it. So, and then I listened to it and it was going in all sorts of directions, not necessarily the ones I'd expected. Yeah, that sort of, in terms of the meaning of the mind and that lining up to the 3 principles you teach.
Okay. What it feels like is that your intellect wants an explanation, which is great. Our intellects always want an exploration, an explanation of what something is. Now, I can do private sessions with people, and I won't even mention the 3 principles because it's more about what they're pointing to than what they are. But if you want an explanation, the 3 principles are mind, consciousness, and thought. They are the universal blueprints behind life. They help us. They're the energies. They help us see how life appears the way it does. Again, once we see them, they're hard to describe. It's a bit like pointing to fire with ice. The closer we get, the harder it is to describe because they're the energies that created life. They're the energies that create our psychological experiences. So when we think of mind is the intelligence behind life. It's the universal force. It's the creativity. It's the energy that allows life to happen. It's the energy that allows nature to thrive. Okay, it's the foundation of creation. That's the universal energy of mind, the principle of mind. The principle of consciousness is the energy of awareness. Consciousness are what brings your thoughts to life. They're this you know, you said about the one that sees you thinking, the one that sees the self. That's consciousness. You know, being able to see our thoughts is the key to seeing that we are not them. Okay, and the principle of thought is thought. It's the energy of thought. We have these 100,000 thoughts a day that create our experience. Our world is created by this formless energy, and it's seeing this that is also transformative. So these 3 energies put together are the blueprint that creates every human being's experience, whether they understand the principles or not. You are still being created by mind, consciousness, and thought. So exploring them is a conversation. It's abstract. You're never going to pin it because it's pointing to fire with ice. It's a knife trying to cut itself. We're trying to use a mind that was created by the principles to understand the principles. The mind is a product of it. It's not the creator of it. So the best that we can do is use words to try and point to it that will create insight, that will create feeling, that will allow people to touch it, that will allow them to have this transformation that changes their minds and their worlds. So again, it's before therapy. A therapy will look at the content of the mind. We're looking at the context of the mind. We're looking at what the mind does. We're looking at what the mind experiences, what it creates, rather than only what it says. Because a lot of the time what the mind says is unhelpful. It will take you back to a past that doesn't exist anymore. It will create a future that doesn't exist and create problems in that future that may never happen. So we're coming back to, as you pointed to, this presence. So it why the conversation goes in so many different directions is the principles cover everything. They're about the totality of life. They're about the totality of the energies behind life. So when we get into the conversation, it can seem like it can go in so many different directions, and we can talk about so many different things, because all things come from these energies, and everything is always ultimately us pointing us home and pointing you home to what's true. Because when you touch that truth, when you have a glimpse of it, actually what happens, all the words, all the meanings fall away. They're irrelevant, because what you sit in is truth. What you sit in is presence. And when you sit in that presence, when you sit in that oneness, then all you can experience is that moment, and you see that nothing else exists other than that. And in that is peace, well-being, happiness, bliss. All the things that we project outside of ourselves and try and find are living here in this moment for all of us right now on this call, without exception. So that again is so interesting, because how can you explain, how can you define it? It's a very difficult thing to do, but we can point to it as best we can.
So, hey, Molly, excellent points. You are very intelligent.
Thanks. Yeah, you just keep cutting out, so I just heard for 5 minutes just only half sentences, and then I have to try and piece everything together. So I'm going to listen back to the recording and hope everything is on there. Because Twitter is just,
Okay.
it's just.
I'm so sorry. Is that happening? If you can hear me clearly, will you do an emoji? If you hear me okay, can you let me know? Okay, good. So everyone else can hear me. So it should be okay on the recording. So please listen back, and
I
please
was just
message
like
me.
the three principles, and then I just heard one word, and it was just and what about the rest? And then so anyway,
Maybe you're not meant to know the answer.
So I heard like half of it just kept cutting out. But oh well. Anyway, thanks a lot, and it was lovely to talk to you.
Lovely to hear you, and please listen back, and please DM me and let me know what you hear in what I said. And I'm sorry it keeps cutting out.
No, it's not your fault. It's nothing we can do about it. It's just, but it should be on the recording, so I'll listen to it back, and then I'll,
Perfect.
But anyway, thanks a lot, and until the next time.
Until the next time.
Thank you, Estival. Hope you can hear that.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Yay, we got you. Awesome.
Great.
Thank you, Estival. We've got another few people, and I can't remember the order, but I think Chris was next. So sorry if I've jumped queue. Hi, Chris.
What's up, everybody? Can you guys hear me okay?
Hi, yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. I guess I'm a new silent friend of your guys's. I appreciate everything you do. I'm here in the Bay Area, California, and shout out to Crypto Burb. I've been following him on Twitter since 2016. That's how I came across you guys. Went through a breakup like about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it was pretty tough. And a lot what's been spoken on this space today has helped me. In the past 3 weeks, I've ran through I think I have about 3 more episodes to go of your guys's, of the Unminded podcast. And just want to let you guys know that it's been so incredibly helpful. And I appreciate everything you guys do. I'm trying to think of a question that I could have that would really help, or that I need answered, but I really don't have anything right now. More so just wanted to say that while we focus a lot on ourselves in this process, just want to say that if you have people around you that, have the same train of thought and the same, control of emotions, it helps a ton. It helped me get through what I was getting through quickly. And obviously it's a evolving process, but you know, there are other people out there that you can reach out to, whether it be, you know, Molls, Gem, or this community, but just know that you could find, you know, good in other people, and you don't have to go through this together necessarily. When I first went through my breakup, I felt that I needed to do traditional therapy or just try it out. I had some friends that had tried it out. And after I did about 2 or 3 sessions, I just found that I came across the Unminding podcast at about the same time. And I just found that I wasn't really feeling empowered by doing traditional therapy. It wasn't necessarily like, hey, I got homework to do or a mindset to think about after and focus on, as far as like, you know, observing my thoughts. And so, yeah, just want to show my appreciation and know that you guys have also helped a couple other my friends that are big fans of the podcast now too. So thank you both. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, Chris, thank you. Thank you for not having a question too, because my throat is gone. No, I honestly, that's amazing to hear that the podcast is really helping people and has helped you. And thank you for supporting us and for listening. And please keep sharing it, because you know it is so helpful for the world to hear this message. And yeah, I really love that. Thank you for coming and sharing that.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. You can come up and give us compliments whenever you like. No worries. Thank you. Well, I think we've then got one more speaker questioner, which is Vertuso. And then I think we said we're doing an hour and a half tonight. We're at 2 hours. It's been wonderful. I think we're ready for another holiday, aren't we, Molls? No, I'm joking. So hi, Vertuso.
Hello there, can you hear me all?
We
I can
can.
hear you.
Yeah, fantastic little thing you got going on here. I just thought I'd jump on. I've just got a couple of questions, if you could possibly just shed your light. I love what you're doing. And in terms of the mind, I've always believed that you've got obviously 3 functions, 3 basic functions, which are thinking, feeling, and wanting. What I need to know, or if you could shed some light on, the egocentric tendencies that follow in terms of your thinking and feeling and desires. So you've got the rational capacities, which you have obviously, which guide you in the right way, and then you've got the egocentric tendencies, which are like, you know, follow through by anger, depression, defensiveness, arrogance, that kind of stuff. What's your view on that?
It's all thought. I mean, literally, it's everything. Everything comes from thought. Now, when you begin to see that, you kind of catch on to any of the games that the ego plays. You don't have to kind of split it up into different areas. Now, that's fine if you want to do that. Everybody has their own way of seeing it. But we've really come back to the simplification that the ego is just thought operating. And it's the more personal we get with thought, the more the ego comes in. So again, it's rather than splitting these things up, we just tend to see that if I'm caught up in my thinking and I'm operating from anger or greed or upset or any of those areas, I'm in my ego. I don't need to dissect that. I don't need to understand that, because then I'm going to be using my mind more. What I need to do is sit back and observe, see that it's thought. Well, as soon as I see it's thought, I come out of it and I'm back to my true self. I'm back in my peaceful mind. So again, it doesn't really work like that with this understanding. Oh, he's gone.
His ego didn't like it. I'm just joking. We're joking. I did actually just go on. We've still got the ego trap that was on July the 7th. So that is still available on Twitter for people to listen to. We did that a few weeks ago, all about the ego. So
yes, and that's going to be be coming up on the podcast soon as well, right?
Yeah, from next week or this week. Yeah.
So yeah, that's really good. So yeah, there's a whole episode that he can listen to there.
Perfect. Well, I think if everyone holds their peace, if we've got no more questions, then we can wind up and just have a little finish off. Yeah, it's been really fun tonight. Oh, that sounded terrible, didn't it? Oh no, I have to cut that bit out. Sorry, everyone. I've just lowered the tone completely. Fucking chaos. Ah.
Chaos. We love chaos.
Oh, that's so funny, Gems.
Well, that was funny.
I'm staying muted. You two talk.
Oh, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Muggsy, for being an amazing co-host as ever, and Jem, as always, being an amazing co-host. And for people coming up and speaking, it's amazing. I'm kind of done. 2 hours is a nice amount of time to be chatting to you guys. And yeah, please go to our podcast. The tweet that we've attached is, I think, has the links. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Fountain, the Unminding Project. And please go and subscribe, and please rate us, because that's really, really helpful for us. We're really trying to push the podcast a little bit more. All of these episodes are uploaded. There's going to be some other new episodes of pre-records coming soon. Again, we're super passionate about this project. We're super passionate about the principles and about sharing them with the world. So please share this episode of Spaces if you can on your Twitter feed. And yeah, thank you again. You're all amazing. Muggsy, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Molls, and thank you both for always having me here. It's always great to be able to talk about some of these things. And the only thing that I would like to say at the end here is, when we, and this is about Twitter Space and social media, arguments, fights, and when you think that you want to win some sort of battle on these social media, there is no prize. There's nothing. So there's no winning. We're not winning anything. We're just going round and round and round. So take a step back with any of these things. And it's something that I've learned myself. So it's not something that I'm telling you guys or saying to you guys that I've gone through myself. And it just leads nowhere but anger and pain and frustration. So there is no prize. And I think we all just need to learn to forgive one another and forgive yourself, and let's just keep on fighting what the real fight is out there. That's it.
Yeah, I agree, Muggsy. Thank you for being a wonderful, cool, calm, and collected voice in all the times of chaos. Gems?
Yeah, just thank you, everyone. Everything's pretty much been covered. I mean, I was just thinking how we've all been here for 2 hours together and how wonderful that is. Like, all of us doing the same thing, hearing the same thing. So if you've heard anything that resonates with you, share and sort of, tell people about what we're doing, because if people don't know about it, then they can't experience it. But I've been watching, and when people join, they stay and they come back every week. So I feel like there's definitely a movement happening, and it's really exciting. So yeah, just thank you to everyone. Like, share, subscribe. We'll be here next Thursday, and if you've got any subjects or anything that you think is a good idea for us to cover, we want to know. So our DMs are always open. Contact us, and if you want to support the project, obviously we're a free project, so donations information is all on the website. But yeah, thank you all for being here. I don't want to say goodbye again. This always happens.
Oh, you're so cute.
I know. Thank you. That's my ego.
Thank you, everybody. Love you all lots, and speak to you all next week. DMs are always open, of course, if anyone needs help.
Bye. See you next week, guys.